Hey guys, welcome to Management Matters, Paragon Intel's weekly management update show. In 5 minutes or less, we're bringing you what mattered in the world of management this week. Of course, we have our CEO here at Paragon, Ty Popplewell, and myself, Colby Howard.
A lot of these executives at public companies are in the spotlight quite often, but there are still a lot of under the radar data out there. Colby, talk to us about what podcasts we saw this week on our executives.
Absolutely. There are thousands of podcasts none of us know even exist. What I think investors don't know is how many of their executives are going on these podcasts. One this week is Chemours CFO Sameer Ralhan had a 49-minute discussion on the podcast CFO Thought Leader. And he talked about his time on the factory floor coming up in his career and how that informed what has become a more distributed factory-specific model of capital allocation in an industry that takes a more consolidated approach usually. You also had Chipotle CEO Brian Niccol going back to his old stomping grounds, going on what is called the Procter & Gamble Alumni Network podcast. And he talked about running the brands of Scope, Thermacare, Vicks, Pringles back in the early days, and how that informs how he thinks about Chipotle today. And then you had 2U CEO, Chip Paucek, which just had an $800 million acquisition of edX, talking with the former CEO of edX on this podcast for over an hour about why they bought the company, what they're going to do with it, and the future of online education. So all of these are extremely juicy insights into who these executives are. Now, obviously, podcasts are not the only place to get insight into executives. Ty, what videos stood out to you that we have on the platform this week?
Yeah, absolutely. So videos have exploded, as you might imagine, during COVID and with people working remotely. We're seeing a lot more videos on that our executives appear in than ever before. Two big ones stood out this week. The first one, Brewer, CEO of Walgreens, appeared at a local Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce conference, was interviewed by a local news anchor. Roz is the only Black female running a S&P 500 company. She spoke on Black Lives Matter. She also spoke on vaccine distribution across the country at Walgreens. She spoke a lot on corporate responsibility, a very interesting video, very under the radar. The second one, and my favorite one of the week, is American Homes for Rent CEO David Singelyn. Actually appeared at his alma mater, Pepperdine, was interviewed by what appears to be one of the college professors. And he spoke on trends across the country on single family rent, single family housing. He spoke about specific markets, which ones were hot, which ones were not. He also spoke about cost and price. And then he went on to speak about the role of investors within single family homes. A lot of hot button issues. Probably the most interesting thing is at the time we posted it to our platform, 26 people had viewed it. Amazing, right? It shows you how under the radar it is. Also, some executives on the move this week. I think the most interesting executive to switch seats and join a new company this week was Lawrence Molley, who is the new CFO of Sprouts Farmers Market. The announcement was made about 3 weeks ago. Interesting thing about Lawrence, formerly was the CFO at Under Armour. Some red flags in his time there. The SEC has investigated some accounting irregularities. So that was an interesting hire and move by Sprouts.
And a potential on the move executive in the future is BMY's CFO, David Elkins. So he was at Celgene when they got acquired, obviously did quite well for himself, just sold $7 million in stock and sold his vacation home. Talk about a dual liquidity event. Is he about to be on the market? That is something we are tracking closely. Now, Ty, on our Management Track platform, and when it comes to our deep dive research, anything of note from the past week?
Yeah, two big ones this week. We came out with 2 buy ratings, one on Ferrari and one on Solarwinds. In both cases, the CEOs, there were external CEO changes, the CEOs coming into those seats, some of the best interviews with former colleagues we have seen in quite some time. And I would highlight Solarwinds in particular is my favorite idea that we've come out with in a while. It reminds me a lot of Chipotle and Brian Niccol when he came into that seat a number of years ago. If you remember, Colby, Chipotle just poisoned its customers. Brian came in, and you not only got the benefit of what Brian did on the execution side, you also got the multiple expansion as the poisoning of customers went to the rearview mirror. Here, Solarwinds had a security breach, very similar, trading at a 2 to 3 turn multiple discount to its competitors. We think the new CEO is a rock star. We think he's going to execute. That multiple gap is going to close. And then all of our contacts believe he's likely to sell the company at that point in time. Great thesis, favorite idea in a while. And with that, thank you for joining us on the Management Matters Weekly with Colby and I from Paragon Intel.